They met 1 week ago. The Indians outlasted New York in a 16-inning series opener, then outpitched them in a 2-1 win the following night, knocking New York out of first place in the tightly contested AL East. The Bronx Bombers finally found their stroke in the series finale, avoiding the sweep with an 8-6 win. Last year, the Indians won a series at Yankee Stadium for only the second time in the last 10 years. Are they primed for a repeat performance? And can they keep their faint wildcard hopes alive? The answers await inside the walls of Yankee Stadium, next on Sports Time Ohio. From Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, it's Cleveland Indians baseball. Tried making their first trip to the Big Apple this year to take on the New York Yankees. Jason Kipnis is back in the lineup when the Indians hit Fenway Park in Boston. Alex Rodriguez and his suddenly surging Yankee club. We'll see if Francisco Lindor can try and slow him down here tonight. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Great ball game coming up here tonight. Josh Tomlin gets the starting call for the Cleveland Indians. Pretty good his first time out this year against the Minnesota Twins. Tough lineup, tough environment for him to pitch here.
It may be a little tougher than his first start, but with Minnesota, he did just fine going out there the first start of the year at the big league level. He did fine. He made 2 mistakes. They were hit out of the ballpark, but other than that, 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits. He did not walk anybody, and that's vintage Josh Tomlin. He struck out 5. Hopefully he can come into this house. He's going to have some bigger bats to face, but he's going to be matched up against Ivan Nova, a big right-hander who's won 4 out of his last 5 starts with a good curveball, explosive fastball. He beat the Blue Jays in his last start. He struck out 3, walked 1. So the Indians offense has their work cut out for him tonight.
No question about it. You look at the matchup with Josh Tomlin, his career numbers against the Yankees. Obviously, he's got 2 wins with that ERA, and a lot of that, the damage done right here in the Bronx.
It certainly was. And Nova is 1-0 in his career against the Indians, and it was a blowout.
All right, so it's the Indians and the New York Yankees. Francisco Lindor. Has anybody really been better than Lindor since the All-Star break in baseball? He's doing it all. Offense, defense. Michael Brantley, same old Michael Brantley. We'll see if the Indians can beat up the Bronx Bombers. The first pitch is next.
one of a 4-game series here in New York. And last week, when the New York Yankees came to Progressive Field, it was a big series for shortstop Francisco Lindor. For Lindor, growing up in Puerto Rico and then Orlando, the Yankees and Red Sox were two teams that he constantly watched. He said today when he and Gio Urshela got here, and they got here early, they went around, they walked around the entire stadium. They went to third base, they went to second, they went to first. And he said, he goes, look, I know this isn't the place where everyone played back in the day. He goes, but when I grew up, this was the place I dreamed of playing. Now he's dreaming of helping the Indians win this series. Last week, he was 6 of 13 versus the Yankees. They were all singles, but the thing that he was able to do was ignite the offense, guys, whether it was bunting behind batters, whether it was hitting behind guys, or whether it was driving in runs or making the spectacular play at shortstop. He was able to do that. He says he wishes Derek Jeter was here to watch him tonight, so he told me, I guess I got to make a couple plays so the whole world knows Francisco Lindor got to play at Yankee Stadium.
Well, as a rookie, there's nothing better than making your first trip to New York and the Big Apple and coming in and seeing what you can do. This is the house, man. The brightest lights are on stage right here in this ballpark in this city, and it's an awful lot of fun to play in.
Take a look at Terry Francona's starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Jason Kipnis in the leadoff spot, followed by Francisco Lindor. Michael Brantley will bat third. He's been on fire of late. Then it's Carlos Santana. Lonnie Chisenhall moves up to the 5-hole. Yan Gomes will bat 6th. Switch hitting Abraham Almonte is 7th. Giovanni Urshela 8th. And Jose Ramirez will bat 9th.
And our Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher is going to be Ivan Nova, who's making his 10th start of the season. He has a 5-4 record, a 3.57 ERA. He has been very good, won 4 out of his last 5 starts. You know, before the All-Star break, he was only 1-3. Spent some time on the disabled list and has been back and been throwing the ball very well. 1-0 in his career against the Indians. And he's going to start the 4-game series off.
Yankee skipper Joe Girardi, as we are ready to get this game underway. Ivan Nova into the line, and tonight's first pitch is low and away with a sinker for ball 1. Jason Kipnis takes a strike. He was hitless after coming off the disabled list in Boston. And so you combine that with the little slump that he was in, or skid he was in when he went on the DL, and he's now 0 for his last 17 at the plate. And he shoots one into left field. That takes care of that. Base hit over near the line, cut off by Gardner, and a leadoff single for Kipnis.
All right, let's check that Yankees defense for you behind Dover tonight. It looks like this: Gardner in left, Ellsbury in center, Beltran over in right. Headley is at third, Gregorius at short, Drew is at second, Bird at first, McCann doing the catching. That defense is brought to you by Jeep.
Dan Isanya has the plate tonight. CB Buckner is at first, Lance Barrett second, Tom Woodring third. Isanya also the crew chief. Now Francisco Lindor. And we'll see, Rick. You know, Jose Ramirez was doing a great job of getting on base out of that leadoff spot, and then all of a sudden, poof, he wasn't able to get on base. So we haven't seen Lindor in that bunting role as much, but maybe he will here. He squares and tries to drag it, but it's foul.
That one was more for a base hit, that bunt there. And, you know, as I said earlier, when he went into that number 2 hole, there's times where I'd like to see him swing the bat earlier instead of giving up an out. And in this ballpark, the way the Yankees can hit in that short right field porch, outs become very important. I would like to see him swing the bat a little bit more.
Now Nova comes to the set position. And Lindor was swinging, but a good off-speed pitch had him out in front 0-2.
Well, he has a very good curveball to go with his fastball. Nova, a big guy. He is 6'4", 235 pounds, 28 years old, out of the Dominican Republic, coming off of Tommy John surgery.
Now the 0-2, and Lindor takes off the plate. It was April 20th a year ago when the MRI revealed a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament in his business elbow, and so they decided to go ahead and have that Tommy John surgery done. Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham took care of that.
He does so many of them.
Swung on and missed, and Lindor strikes out. On the follow through, he whacked the catcher McCann, but McCann seems to be all right. One down.
Comes back with another off-speed pitch, and it's a good one. The second time in this at-bat he's been able to have Lindor out front. You can see the extension. Watch McCann. Side of the helmet, on the mask. So out number one. He takes a little stroll to the mound.
And so 1-on, 1-out from Michael Brantley. Brantley, over his last 11 games, is batting .456.
Michael has really been locked in. In last night's game, he made it out the first time and then 3 consecutive hits. And I think he had 1 to center, 1 to left, and 1 to right. Leads the league in doubles with 37.
Foul back.
Going to see when that one sort of went down into the dirt and got his back foot came up into the shin. A lot of times it's off the front foot, but that ball got in on him a little bit. It went straight down and caught him on the back leg.
Nova ready with the 0-2. And Brantley into the glove of Bird, who goes to second for 1. In time, a double play ends the inning. Well, Brantley hit it hard, but Bird cut it off and starts an inning-ending twin killer. The Yankees are coming to bat. Joe Girardi on your right, the manager of the New York Yankees. Let's have a look at his starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Toyota. Jacoby Ellsbury and Brett Gardner at the top. Alex Rodriguez, Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran, and Greg Bird. He's been on a tear lately. Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, and Stephen Drew.
And Josh Tomlin is our Northern Ohio Honda dealer starting pitcher. Only his second start this year, but his first one against the Minnesota Twins, 6 1/3 innings. Pitched a nice game, didn't walk anybody, had 5 strikeouts, 2 mistakes that were hit out of the ballpark and cost him a couple of runs. So this is a Yankee ball club, though, that can hit home runs, so he's going to have to hit his mark today.
Outside, ball 1. Kobe Ellsbury batting .276. You see there. Foul back. Only 8 doubles on the year so far for Ellsbury.
That is the way he can run. It seems strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, normally he has 15 stolen bases, and normally he'll have 30 to 40. So he's had to have some leg issues or something.
Popped up, foul ground. Urshela on the track. 1 down.
Let's set that defense for the Yankees tonight. It's going to be, or excuse me, for the Indians, it's going to be Ramirez, Almonte, and Chisenhall in the outfield. Urshela, Lindor, Kipnis, and Santana on the infield, with Gomes doing the catching. Brought to you by Jeep.
Talking to Chris Antonetti before the game, Indians general manager, he said, you know, you figure first time you got Jose Ramirez in left field last night, and the first ball of the game was hit right to him. But he made the play without incident. Did a fine job. I said to Chris, a little different left field here in New York than it is in Boston.
A lot more room. Well, you know, you can't hide on that field. Doesn't it seem like, you know, you put somebody in for a defensive replacement and the ball will always find him there quickly.
Well, Ramirez has a lot of ground to cover. It's
well,
399 to left center, and he's got a great center fielder from what we've seen so far in terms of being able to cover ground, and Almonte to help him out.
I'll tell you what's going to be the tough time is day games. Saturday and Sunday here we have day games. It could be a bright, sunny field here during the day.
The 0-2 is popped up right field. Chisenhall coming in. 2 down. Take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Don't set the table. Well, he's done a good job of that. Keep Ellsbury and Gardner off the bases. That's important. And keep it in the yard. This Yankee club can hit a lot of home runs.
Well, this is how they score. When you have to pitch to the big hitters, you can make mistakes. They can hit 2-3 run home runs. If you keep the top 2 off, that was the success they had in Cleveland in the first couple of games. They kept them off base. They ended up winning.
Alex Rodriguez takes a strike.
I mean, it sounds so simple to do. Keep them off base. It's not that not that easy. That's why Josh has got his work cut out for him. But it gives him a little more room for error when you're pitching to the big boys with nobody on.
Alex Rodriguez was really mired in a prolonged slump when he came to Cleveland, and after the Yankees left town, he went 1 for 14 with 4 punchouts. But it only takes one big hit sometimes to get things turned around, and he had a grand slam against Minnesota that, you know, they were down 3 when he hit the slam. That put them up, and they went on to win.
Yes, they did. They got the key hits when they needed to against Minnesota late in the ball game and off their bullpen. In the last 2 games, he hit the grand slam to give them the 8-7 lead. They went on to win that one, and then yesterday, Bird, after he hit a first 2-run home run, they came back and scored 3. Minnesota did, and then Bird hit another 2-run homer to give them the lead, and that's how they won.
2-2. Just missed a little low. Full count. Now this is kind of what you were talking about, though. When you don't have guys on base, you can pitch Rodriguez a little tougher.
Sure.
You don't have to go right at him, and
you can go in and out, make him swing at your pitch. If you don't, then maybe you have to you give him a free pass.
To right field. Playable for Lonnie Chisenhall, and the Yankees go 1-2-3. We've played an inning in the Bronx. No score. As we take a look at our window systems game time temperature, 79 degrees, cloudy skies. Again, hard to tell if the wind is much of a factor in an enclosed stadium like here in New York. You get some swirling effect. It might shoot the ball out to right field. I don't know.
Well, you know one thing, you have to wait and see.
But it's a pretty good breeze.
I don't know how it's going to be blowing, but it always carries to right for some reason. Short porch. Always has been in New York.
Carlos Santana to lead off the second for Cleveland. The breeze picking up is welcome, though, because it was
hot,
very humid in the city today.
Yes, it was. All the people on the streets, that doesn't help either. Maybe you can ask them to stay in.
Yeah, all the cement. I mean, it's just it's a broiler.
It's a different world, isn't it?
Now the 2-0. But they're also polite and cordial.
I agree.
I must have opened 5-6 different doors today for people. Not once did anyone say thank you. Not once.
You don't have to in New York.
They almost ran me over going out the door. Here's the 3-0.
You're not allowed to be polite here.
Santana walks on 4 straight, and the Indians get their leadoff man aboard for the second inning in a row. Up comes Lonnie Chisenhall. He hasn't exactly been an everyday player, but he's been a different guy, at least from what we've seen so far since the call back. Now, I say that with a grain of salt. Different in terms of the end results. The end results have been better, but the swing still looks the same. The approach still looks very much the same.
That hasn't changed. It's all the same. You get a couple of hits to drop. He's facing just the right-handers. He hasn't been facing left-handers.
I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. 388 average.
But you know, we've seen Lonnie get hot before. Up at this level.
Oh, he smacks this one to right center field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Flying around second on his way to third is Santana. Sarbo's going to try to wave him home. They overshoot the cutoff man, and Carlos will score. The Indians take a 1-0 lead on Lonnie Chisenhall's 13th double of the year, RBI number 28. Ellsbury's throw missed that initial cutoff man, and that probably cost him any shot, if they had one, to get Santana.
You know, it usually does. When that outfielder misses his first cutoff man, that's why they have the trailer. But that throw is not meant to be for the trail cutoff man. He's supposed to hit his first guy. I want to see how they go out there. And there's Santana. He's waved around from Sarba all the way. He goes diving in head first. No need to dive. There was no throw whatsoever. So Lonnie Chisenhall, an RBI double. Indians will play from in front.
Now Yan Gomes takes a strike.
Get the oxygen. Second inning, you got to try and score from first.
Well, it's been a successful formula for Cleveland. They're 36-12 this year.
These are the two best teams in the league, whoever scores first. Yankees a little bit better than the Indians. So the Indians are going to be able to get on score first in this game.
Take a look at our great clip of the game from yesterday. Yan Gomes at Fenway Park. Boom! That brought him to within a couple and made it a game when it didn't look like they had much chance at all.
That was really the only hit they got. They had opportunities all night, but that was the big one that brought them back, but they didn't do anything after that.
Last night, the double play really short-circuited their rally attempts early in the game. 17th three-runner of the year. Only the Yankees have hit more. Would you have imagined that?
No, not for the Indians hitting 17 of them.
Right. Team that hasn't hit a lot of home runs this year, really.
Right. They're the 13th in the league at 97.
Well, if you're not going to hit a lot, make them count when you do, right?
Absolutely. That's true. They have one grand slam.
Nova deals, and Gomes sends one to center. Ellsbury going to make the catch, and Chisenhall has to hold. One down.
Well, Live Indians Baseball is back in 2015 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcasts, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Abraham Almonte. Four for 21 so far on the current road trip. You know, the thing about numbers and statistics is sometimes you can pull one out, but they don't tell the whole story. And that 3-run homer statistic is impressive, second only to the Yankees. But Redbird pointed out to me they're dead last in 2-run homers.
Yeah. We weren't looking at that, Mike.
So they've excelled with a couple of guys on base. But hey, look, the bottom line is this is not a power hitting club. It's not a big home run team.
No, it's not. And that's why it's important for this team to play from in front. It's tough for them to catch up like yesterday when it was a 6-1 game. You know, you have to hit home runs to get back into those games. And if you're a team that can do that, you can come back. This is not a team that can do that. This is a team that has to, you know, they usually take 3 or 4 hits to score, you know, to get going. And, you know, prime example, leadoff walk in this inning, a double, they've got to run. I was hoping they'd be able to move him over and get him in here because that's the type of things they have to do as a team to succeed.
After the meeting at the mound, Almonte takes a pitch inside, and it's 1-1. Now a 1-1. Swing and a miss. Rick, since the dimensions on the new park are virtually the same as they were in the old park.
Right.
As a left-handed hitter, what would pitchers do to you particularly to try and keep you from just punching one over the short porch in right field?
Well, they'll basically try and stay away and make you go the other way. But, I mean, occasionally you have to pitch in. The pitch before to Almonte was inside, missed for a ball. He went back away, got the strike. You got to mix it up.
So they'll show you in, but rarely do you get a pitch you can do any damage with, huh?
See, that's where the opposite is in Fenway Park where we just left.
Yeah.
You can't continue to pitch the left-handers away because they have the short porch. You know, you got to pitch them inside and be successful. In that ballpark here, you may want to go the other way. Just show them inside, attack them away, primarily with strikes.
And the 1-2 way outside. Yeah, you'd have to be one kind of strong mule to hit one out of here to left as a left-handed hitter in this park.
Well, if you do, you tip your cap and say, buddy, you're better than I am today. If you can hit a fastball down and away out of the ballpark, you're a man. You know, the thing of it is here, if you throw him that breaking ball in and you leave it middle of the plate, you just speed up their bat and it's an easy homer for them. That's why if you're going to go throw that breaking ball, a lot of times you may want to throw it when you're ahead in the count and bounce it and see if you can get swings and misses.
I seem to recall when Reggie Jackson had his famous 3-homer game in the World Series here, one of those home runs, it looked like just a line drive base hit that cleared the fence.
Well, that's a line drive. You see a lot of those, just a line drive hit that could get into the seats.
2-2 to Almonte, and he chases one in the dirt.
That's what I was talking about to the left-handers.
Big out for Nova, 2 down.
You get ahead of the hitters, and then you attack them with the breaking ball down in the dirt. If you get the swings, and on the plate, mind you, because you know you don't want to try and aim it. If you can go and bounce that ball on the plate, you'll get a lot of swings and misses. He did right there. Although McCann had to throw to first to get him, but it doesn't matter. 2 outs and Chisenhall's still at second base.
Well, let's see if Gio Urshela can come up with a big 2-out knock. Done a decent job with some clutch hits. Currently 0 for his last 10 at the plate. Takes a strike on the inside corner.
Again, here now, when you look at the right-handers, you see where he started Urshela off inside. Because if you can make mistakes up and away to the right-handers, they can shoot you that way as well.
Nova has Urshela down 0-2 with Chisenhall at second base and 2 down on the second. Check this swing and a foul back.
You know, you hear a little noise here when they get to 2 strikes in the old ballpark. When they'd get to 2 strikes, everybody would be into it. You know, when they had their pitchers over there that could strike you out, they were looking for it. They made a lot of noise. You'll hear it start as I think as the game goes on.
Again, the 2-strike offering, and Urshela pulls it foul.
That was over there looking for Andre already. First time into the apple, and it's already trying to find him. He cannot hide.
The set of the 0-2. Down low, Urshela lays on.
Looked like a little splitter there. See it coming out of the glove. You can see that's a split fastball.
Straight down.
Yes, it did. And that's a feel pitch for pitchers that he will use. If he gets a feel for it, look out, because he'll start throwing them more than he'll throw that curveball.
Urshela trying to shoot it the other way, but it's going to slice. Foul.
Yeah, McCann wants to go out and talk to him. That's a mistake pitch. He's made 2 mistake pitches here to Urshela. That second pitch on the breaking ball and that last one right there. So he wants to go out and have a little chat with his pitcher. You see, he slides away, and that ball is right down the middle. That's what I call a mistake. When that catcher has to reach back, he wanted it down, he wanted it away, and that's exactly why he went out to talk to him.
Now the 1-2. That's popped up shallow center, and Drew makes the grab. Indians take the early lead. Lonnie Chisenhall drives one to the gap, scoring Carlos Santana all the way from first base. And it's 1-0 Cleveland, middle of the second. 4, 5, and 6 hitters due up for New York. Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran, and Greg Bird. McCann, a 21 homer season so far. McCann got into one in the series finale. It came with 2 out and 2 men on base in the first inning, and the Yankees really just never looked back after that. There's a ground ball to Santana. He'll take it himself. One away. Hey, get your friends and head out to the new Corner Bar at Progressive Field. It's open to all fans. $13 district tickets presented by Sports Time Ohio. Go quickly. Get yours today at Indians.com/district ticket. 1 on, 1 out. Carlos Beltran coming to the plate. Boy, when this guy came up with the Kansas City Royals, you looked at him and said, now there is a guy that it's almost like a perfect baseball player.
He could do it all.
Power, run, throw.
Yeah, he could do it all. Hit for power.
Average. Hit for good average, too.
Well, he's had a great career with the teams he's played with. Kansas City, Houston, St. Louis. 386 homers, 1,400 ribbies. That's a fine career.
Oh, good pitch by Josh Tomlin. He ran the fastball upstairs. You saw Yan Gomes give him the high target, and Beltran could not catch up.
That's the key to Josh Tomlin. Changing speeds and location. Never letting him sit on one thing. He's going to back off. He's going to try and keep him off balance. You know, so he runs the fastball up with 2 strikes above the belt. It looks so good. And, you see 88 miles an hour, but he gets it by him.
And normally you say, well, that's a bad pitch that the batter chases after. Well, in Minnesota, he threw a pitch that was higher than that one. And the guy got to it and hit it for a home run.
Yeah, that was scary, that pitch. That won't happen again.
Here's the man of the moment, Greg Bird. He's batted 18 times. He has 6 hits, including 2 home runs.
Yeah, the 2 home runs coming yesterday. And I see up on the board he was a 5th-round pick in the 2011 draft. What is it with the 2011 draft on this trip? And we had 6 Red Sox that were on the Red Sox roster from the 2011 draft. There you go.
Strike 3 called. Tomlin paints the outside corner. Punches out a pair of Yankees. And after 2, it's Cleveland 1, New York nothing. to you by Miller Lite. Third inning in New York. Josh Tomlin looking good through the first 2 frames. Jose Ramirez to lead off here in the third for Cleveland. Misses outside, ball 1, does Ivan Nova. Outside corner, a called strike. Jose just 2 for his last 27. Bounces it right at Bird. 1 down. Our stat of the game is brought to you by Buick. As you take a look at Jason Kipnis and also Brett Gardner, who's playing in this game, they've each compiled more than 130 extra base hits while stealing more than 60 bases. Pretty select group.
Yeah, look at that. Get a good look at them. All in the, well, now that Gomez is with Houston. Charlie Marte, a couple of National Leaguers. Jason took a nice little sinking fastball his first at bat, slapped it the other way, had a good swing on it.
Kipnis with a line drive base hit in the center field.
That's the breaking ball. Jason now 2 for 2.
Now already the Indians with 3 hits in the first 3 innings as Francisco Lindor steps in. Struck out his only time up. You know, since the start of last year, the Indians have won 6 out of 10 from New York, and they've done it for the most part with offense. They've outslugged them big time. Indians came into today in those 10 games against New York batting .286 against Yankee pitching. Lindor trying to slice one inside the line, but it's a foul ball.
Well, I thought that was going to stay fair.
Meanwhile, while the Indians have been hammering the ball against New York, they've been keeping the Yankees off the bases. New York's only hit .215 against Cleveland in those last.
We had that 16-inning game. I think they had 8 hits in that game. They really held them. Did a great job the first 2 games in that series. And that's hard to do. And then the third game of the series, the top 2 guys in the lineup started to do their thing, get a couple hits. So they ended up scoring some runs, and that's what ignites these boys when the young guys or the top 2 get on.
Lindor takes it's a little bit outside 1-1.
The thing of it is, I know the Indians get pumped when you play a team like the Yankees. You know, they knocked them out of first place back in Cleveland, but New York has played very well since they left that series. But they have to find a consistent level to do it. You know, they haven't been able to do that consistently all year long. It's been in short spurts.
1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. Off-speed pitch. Teased him with it.
Yeah, tried to get him to chase another breaking ball to swing over the top of it down and in, and Lindor did a nice job to lay off.
Kipnis takes off, And Lindor bangs the 2-2 pitch to first. Bird will take it himself. 2 down. Kipnis in the scoring position. And it will bring up Michael Brantley. Now, the one thing you can say about Ivan Nova is that he wins despite missing the time with the Tommy John surgery since 1961, which we like to say since the expansion era. He's won 44 out of 95 starts. And only Mel Stottlemyre, Andy Pettitte, Chin-Ming Wong, and Ron Guidry won more games in their first 95 starts of their career than this guy.
That's right. He's 44-24 in those starts, so that's a winning percentage that you love. Curious to see how he goes at Brantley right here in this situation. The guy that hurts you the most on this ball club. Man on in scoring position, 2 outs, first base open. A lot of times you like to see how they attack and how they pitch to him. Because Michael normally doesn't go out of the strike zone. He's got a very good eye, very selective. He makes you throw strikes to get him out.
He went away for strike 1, came in off the plate to even the count.
This is what makes Michael Brantley such a good hitter, is that he just swings at strikes. He rarely goes out of the zone and helps a pitcher out. If you get him out, you earn it. There you'll see with the runners in scoring position, he's one of the best.
And that's because, for me, he's never a greedy hitter. He'll take what you give him. You leave one out over the plate, he'll smack it to left and drive the run home. Yeah,
why other hitters on the team don't talk to Michael about that as far as mentality and your approach and what you look for is sort of beyond me. Because that's the thing. You look at this. If you get greedy, you don't do it. You pitch to him.
Gardner comes up throwing. Kipnis goes head first and beats the tag. Indians now up 2-0 as Michael Brantley delivers in the clutch once again. RBI number 66 with a 2-out RBI single. He goes to second on the throw home.
Just what we're talking about. See, that ball is away. Let me take a single. Boy, I want to drive in a run. Let's make it 2-0. There's something to be learned about his approach to hitting with runners in scoring position that every guy in this team should pay attention to. Kipnis scores with the head first slide. Brantley just follows him, gets himself into scoring position at second base. Nice job by Michael Brantley.
See if Carlos Santana can follow suit. He walked and scored in the second.
Well, this is one guy I would love to talk to Brantley, because he tries to get all or nothing. He gets greedy instead of taking what they give him.
Right. Well, and that's why Santana's average with runners in scoring position has suffered.
Although he leads the team with most 2-out RBI hits.
And he's done a better job of late.
Recently, yes. But the thing of it is, if you're a middle of the lineup hitter, and he's been that for a number of years here with the Indians, you've got to take that to the plate every day with you. It can't be once in a while. It's got to be consistently. That's why you're hitting in the middle part of the lineup, is to drive them in.
Old foul. Nova checks Brantley, the 2-1, and it's outside. So Santana's being patient here, and he's put himself in a great spot. He takes, and it's a breaking ball in for a strike, full count.
Might have been a high strike there. It looked like it came down late. They're sitting away. Okay, I'll give them that, but that might have been a little bit high.
Here is the payoff pitch. Strikes him out. But Michael Brantley drives home Kipnis with a 2-out opposite field single. And it's 2-0 Cleveland, middle of the third. Third here at Yankee Stadium. Bottom third of the New York lineup. Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, and Stephen Drew. Headley, a switch hitter, takes a strike from Josh Tomlin. Josh has struck out a pair. He's been spot on to this point. Headley smokes it foul. Now the 2-strike pitch upstairs.
That's okay. When Josh gets up 0-2 and things like that, he sets up a pitch where you can go inside, change speeds, and work counts. That outside cutter was the one where he was able to get Bird on to end last inning.
That's hit hard, right center field. That's in the gap. It'll go to the wall. Yankees' first hit of the game is a leadoff double for Chase Headley.
Well, when you look at the location, he had too much of the plate here, and you're going to see this ball was down the middle, and that's why Headley was able to get a base hit and find the gap. He wanted to go away with it. It stayed middle of the plate. That's the difference. That's where Josh has to stay out of. He's got to stay out of the middle of the plate. As that gets to the gap, Headley will get his 23rd double.
Didi Gregorius. Yankee shortstop batting 8th tonight. Takes outside, ball 1.
This is a guy that had a great series defensively in Cleveland.
He made a few highlight plays.
He really did. He showed us he can flash the leather out there.
Big swing. I mean, really aggressive at the plate.
Yes, he can, and this should fare well for Josh Tomlin. If he wants to stay aggressive like that, you back off. But with the hitters he has in the lineup, he should learn a lot, because they have some pretty good hitters in that lineup that he can learn from, how to get work counts, get it in your favor, what to look for.
The 1-1. Pop foul and out of play.
You know, when you think of what this guy has to go through, he's coming in and replacing the captain, Derek Jeter. You know, he retired from baseball last year, and not an easy thing to do in New York, and you can't put him in the same breath. But, you know, just to go out and do that job every day is not an easy thing to do.
Missed outside with a breaking ball. 2-2. Throw it by him. Josh Tomlin gets his third strikeout of the night. One down here in the third inning. Josh Tomlin.
It looks like that little cutter on the outside part of the play.
30 years old. He was a 19th round pick back in 2006. He was a guy, because he was a 19th round pick, because he's not 6'5", because he doesn't throw 95 miles an hour, that a lot of people overlooked.
Yeah.
But the guys in the organization who know pitching, they kept saying, you got to watch this Tomlin kid. He knows how to pitch.
I know Tim Belcher was one of them. He always liked him when he was down in the minor leagues. And
Tim Belcher, Jason Beret,
right.
Charles Nagy, all those guys.
You know, you come to the big leagues. If you remember his first, what was it, 35 starts? He went at least 5 innings in every start. Went out there, and it was amazing when he first came up. It was boom, boom, boom. He was, you know, into the 5th inning before you knew it. Then the injury bug started happening.
Scott Radinsky was another guy who was a big supporter of Josh Tomlin and kept saying, hey, man, you got to watch this guy pitch. You got to give this guy an opportunity. One on, one out. Stephen Drew, the batter. Drew, his batting average is dreadful, but the power number is impressive. 15 homers, 14 doubles, despite hitting only 192. Way outside. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, Drew had a couple of home runs last series.
Kind of the story of his season right there. Popped out of play. Rick, is he as attractive a player to a team that doesn't have a short porch in right field?
I wouldn't think so. You know, the Yankees got him because they were going to use him as a shortstop, and when he was hurt, now they've got him playing second base. But, you know, yeah, he has some power. I would say no. No, you put him in a normal ballpark, and I don't think he hit the home runs like you do here. You look at anybody's numbers, a left-handed hitter that hits here, you're going to have more homers here than you are anywhere else.
9 of his 15 homers have been here at home. But what that does, it builds your confidence, too.
Well, sure it does. I mean, you look for pitches you can hit and you can pull. But you know what? You see that average will go down, and you stay below, you know, 200. You got to take into consideration the baseball, the ballparks that are in the American League East. Toronto, one of the best hitting ballparks in the division and in all of baseball. You got Baltimore, you've got Boston, you've got here. I mean, there's some home run hitting ballparks here, so it doesn't surprise me. if you can just sit around and you can try and hit the home run and just play good defense, and he plays solid defense.
Corey Kluber said it after last night's ball game. He said, you know, they hit 2 pop-ups that accounted for 4 runs.
Yeah.
Those aren't home runs anywhere else, but they were last night at Fenway.
Yep. You have to change your approach to pitching in some of these ballparks that you don't get an opportunity to go to a whole lot.
3-2 missed outside. Let's go down to Andre Knott.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. Let me say that first and more foremost. All right, look, we know that our guy, Mr. Bauer, has struggled over the last 4 or 5 starts, and usually he's the odd couple sitting with Danny Salazar on the bench. Today, he's made his way out with his pole out to the bullpen, and he's watching the game currently in the bullpen with the bullpen guys. Now, look, he's slated to start on Sunday, and maybe this is just a different way for him to look at the game. Maybe he needs to see it from a different way. But it's something different that he's obviously doing that he has not done all year long, as he's out in the bullpen tonight with his toys and everything else, watching the game with the bullpen guys and not with his partner, Danny Salazar, down here in the dugout.
Well, nothing wrong with that. I mean, go out and take in a different perspective. Why not? Fun place to do it at is New York. Just be ready to go Sunday.
2 on 1 out. Ellsbury took a big hack and fouled it straight back. Ellsbury fouled out over to third base his first time up.
People in New York may think he's got his fishing pole with him out there in the bullpen. I mean, he's got that shoulder stretcher.
Tomlin missed up and away.
This is the game with Tomlin out there. Can they be patient enough to wait until he has to bring one into the strike zone? Or can Josh find his spots and stay ahead of the hitters and make them swing?
That's a good pitch. Bottom of the strike zone. 1-2 the count.
And that's a big pitch when you're a control guy like Tomlin, the 1-1 pitch. That third pitch in the at-bat, if you can hit to get to strike 2 and make it a 1-2 count as opposed to a 2-1 count. Awfully big pitch for pitchers.
Now, does he try to ride the ladder up?
You know, I don't know what his scouting report would be off him. You could throw that slow curveball to him, bounce it. He went with the heater up.
Kipnis will take the out at first, 2 down. Headley to third, Drew to second. I'm not sure if he had a chance to make the tag here.
He might have been past him on the tag.
Yeah.
But he might have been able to go to second, but he just takes the easy out and goes to first base. Although there are 2 outs, so now he's going to have to make his pitch to Gardner.
Gardner flied to right in the first inning.
This guy is the kind of guy you consider a slasher. He stays up there. He'll take a lot of pitches, but they see a ball away that he likes, and he'll just put a short, quick swing to it.
And they go right at him for strike 1.
This guy, he's a tough out, and he drives you nuts when you play against him. He's one of those guys, but he's a battler. He knows how to play the game. Tough competitor.
Hit outside, 1-1. He's one of those guys, too, because he has such a great eye at the plate. When you're playing against him, he tends to drive you crazy because any pitch that he doesn't swing at, it's called a strike. He belly aches about it.
Yeah, yes.
But I think that's because he has such a good idea. He knows the strike zone.
Yes, he does.
And he feels like, hey, if I didn't swing at it, it's not a strike.
Yeah, well, you don't like that when you play against people. It doesn't matter what team you play for. You know what? I could throw a strike where you don't swing at it. This is where he's tough, though, with 2 strikes.
Fouled on the right side.
Josh wanted to come in. He wasn't going to let him slap one down the left field line, so he wanted to throw one inside. He hit it, but that's okay. You pull it foul. But at least you let him know in his own mind that you're going to pitch inside.
Now Yan Gomes is going to go out to talk.
Well, Tomlin being the number 5 starter for the Indians, that's been the sore spot for the Indians this year. All year long, you've had McAllister, House, Chen, Markham, Murata, Anderson, and now Josh. They're combined 5 and 13 in that number 5 role, and it's been a tough go.
No 1-2. Up and away, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cody Anderson got on a little bit of a run there when he made his debut.
He had 4 great starts, and then after that had 4 tough ones. But you know, your number 5 starter, you're not looking for him to. You're looking for him to compete and keep you in games if they can consistently.
Same pitch, can't hit the feel for it, and a full count.
Well, he doesn't have to give in here. He can go at him with a tough pitch to see if he wants to swing or take it with first base open.
Ground ball to second. Kipnis has it. And Tomlin gets out of the inning. No runs a hit, 2 men left. We've played 3 in the Bronx. It's the Indians 2 and the Yankees nothing.
It's Wednesday, August 26th, when the Indians host the Brewers. The State of the Tribe Town shirt was designed by a fan in an online contest earlier this year. Visit Indians.com for the tickets.
Lonnie Chisenhall, Yan Gomes, and Abraham Almonte due for the Tribe here in the 4th. The Indians with a 2-0 lead. Chisenhall drove in the Indians' first run with an RBI double in the second. And Ivan Nova's pitch is in the dirt, ball 1. Nova signed with the Yankees out of the Dominican Republic. Lonnie lifts one high in the air on the infield. Greg Bird makes the grab, one away. And then the Padres rolled the dice, made him a Rule 5 draft pick. And it's one of those deals in the Rule 5 draft. For fans who aren't aware, you can select a minor league player out of another team's organization that they leave unprotected. But in the Rule 5 draft, if you take him, he has to remain on your 25-man big league roster
all year,
for the entire season. And after looking at him all through spring training, at the end of spring training, they decided, yeah, we don't think we can do that. So they sent him back to New York. And what was the Padres' maybe miscalculation turned out to be.
Well, sometimes you don't have the time to be patient enough and wait for somebody to develop.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
You know, on a 25-man roster, you may need help right now. So they didn't see enough to where they felt he could help them right now, so you return him for half the price you paid for him. And that's a hard thing to do. We've witnessed some clubs.
And he was, at that point, he had not pitched above A ball.
See, that's the tough thing. Yeah. Right. I mean, a lot of times when you get those young kids, it is tough to project down the road. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Johan Santana a Rule 5 draft?
Yeah.
Boy, that was a pretty good pick, huh?
That worked out well.
Cy Young Award winner.
There have been a few over the years.
Sure there are.
Again, you have to be maybe the right fit where you can afford to kind of hide a guy in your bullpen and not overexpose him, but use him enough to where he gets some experience. Now the payoff pitch to Gomes. Trying to shoot one the other way, but it's right at Bird. 2 down. Abraham Almonte struck out his only time up.
Yeah, a couple of easy outs this inning for Nova.
Low and away.
Had a big second inning, 24 pitches, 19 in the third. Right now in this inning, he'd like to end it as quickly as possible and have an easy inning.
Now the 2-1. Upstairs, 3 balls and a strike. You know, the guy I was trying to think of, Rick, was Hector Ambriz, who the Indians made a Rule 5 draft pick out of the Padres, or out of the Diamondbacks organization in 09. And Got a chance to pitch for the Indians, but I think injuries just kind of
he hurt his elbow, I believe.
Derailed his career. Almonte draws a 2-out walk.
He had a chance for a nice easy 1-2-3 inning and let it expand on him. You know, when you have a couple of innings early, a 24, we showed you 19. If you're a pitcher, you like to shoot for about that 15 pitch mark, only because that gives you 6 innings right around 90 pitches. And if you happen to go over, that's right around, you know, the 100 pitch mark. And that's about all people go nowadays, especially when you're coming off Tommy John surgery. You've got to be careful of your pitch count. But this would be a good time to run with 2 outs. The last 2 starts, he's gone to 100 pitches in the game. And both starts were against the Blue Jays. He went 7 innings in his last start with the win. He went 105. Start before that, 5 1/3, he went 102. And that's a lineup that you know you're going to throw a lot of pitches to because they can hit the ball out.
Urshela took, and it's in for a strike. Down low with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the Indians got a run in the 2nd inning on a double by Chisenhall that scored Santana all the way from first. Then in the 3rd inning, it was the 2-out RBI knock by Michael Brantley that plated Jason Kipnis. That's been it thus far. And Ivan Nova had 2 quick outs here in the 4th before walking Almonte. Broken bat blooper. That's going to drop in right center field for a base hit. Almonte speeding around toward 3rd. He'll get there standing. And Indians at the corners with 2 down.
Well, there's a lot to be said. You make them work to get through the inning. He went from having a chance to have a nice quick inning to now he's going to have to work hard to get through an inning. 2-out base hit. Urshela takes him the other way. So the 2-out walk. Now a base hit. Ramirez has an opportunity to add on again. It could be the 3rd straight inning the Indians score if they can get a 2-out base hit.
Boy, and all of a sudden this will be the 69th pitch of the night for Nova.
Work hard, make them get through innings. You know, in that series when the Yankees were in Cleveland last time, we got to see every pitcher in that bullpen from the first game who went 16 innings.
That's right.
They have a good bullpen. They've got some great arms coming out of that bullpen. So sometimes you have to watch out what you wish for. But you know, anytime you can get that starter out early, you have to like it, especially the middle part of the game. You want to stay away. The Yankees can turn it into a 6-inning game with the best of them.
Ramirez takes it. It's a strike call. 1-1. And he shoots it into left field. A 2-out RBI single for Jose Ramirez. Almonte scoring. 3-0 Cleveland. So the Indians in back-to-back innings have come up with the back-breaking 2-out RBI hit.
You know, and this is the thing that does it to you, the 7, 8, and 9 guy. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. A little sinking fastball away that Ramirez stays on. Just goes the other way. And now the Indians have a 3-run lead. It's 3-0. Single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, and now here the 4th. And he's going to be facing a guy that's already 2 for 2 off.
Larry Rothschild making a visit to the mound, and we're going to visit with Andre Nunn.
Cincinnati is on this trip with the team, and he talked about Jose Ramirez playing left field. He goes, look, guys, we want to get him as many at-bats as we can before the season is over to see where he fits. And Tito told me, he goes, I think this outfield and left field is tougher for Jose than it was yesterday in Boston. So he goes, let's see what he can do. He goes, because they like how he's come up the second time this year and played so far.
Thanks, Andre. Jason Kipnis looks at a strike.
You know, anytime you play a guy in a new position, you just have to wait, and he's going to be tested eventually. We have Chisenhall in right. You know, he got tested a little bit yesterday in right field at Fenway Park. So far, Ramirez hasn't been tested. But when you're out of position, it's not an easy thing. Eventually, you're going to get something that you're going to have to learn and a tough ball to react to.
Rope foul. Chris Capuano, left-hander, getting loose now for New York, as Nova is laboring once again. And this is bizarre because he had 2 quick outs and looked like, oh, he's just going to cruise right through this inning. But then Almonte was patient, took the walk. Urshela, broken bat blooper in the right. Ramirez drives him home.
Think about it. You know, Nova on the day has 2 walks. He walked the leadoff man in the second, Santana. He came around to score. The 2-out walk here in the fourth. He came around to score. So there you go. When you make them hit their way on, it's something different.
That's why on offense you say a walk's as good as a hit.
Well, it is for the Indians because they lead the league in walks. You know, they really rely on that. Even though they can hit, and their toughest issue is hitting with runners in scoring position. They leave a lot of guys on base. But it's not to say the opportunities aren't there. You know, sometimes I think for a pitcher it's easier for him to pitch to a free swinging home run hitting club than it is a team that just tries to put the ball in play.
Downstairs, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You can hear the groans here too with every hit that comes with 2 outs, and the Indians get another one on the board. But that's what the Yankees did very well against the Twins when they just ended up sweeping them here. They were able to come back into the middle part and late part of the ball game. So you have to be careful, and if you can, keep adding on.
1-2. Out of play.
This is what Kipnis can do all day long. If you get him pitches up out over the zone, he'll foul them off until he gets one to his liking down in the zone and then hurt you.
Down and in. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. You're right, though. This is one of those situations where you'd love to see a big fly.
Yeah, this is where you could really put a hurt into him. You're right. A big hit to keep it going. 2 outs. 3 straight have reached. The dagger.
Kipnis ropes it into the glove of Bird. Oh, Jason jumped up, spun around right out of the batter's box as if to say, are you kidding me? Hit it right on the screws, bidding for his 3rd straight hit in the game. Instead, it's the 3rd out in the inning. The Indians, though, do take advantage. They get another 2-out RBI. They lead it 3-0. A run to work with here. 3-0 Cleveland. He's got Alex Rodriguez, Brian McCann, and Carlos Beltran in the fourth for New York. Rodriguez fly to right his first time up. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. Look out. Goodbye. Alex Rodriguez gets New York on the board here in the fourth with his 26th home run of the year.
Well, he followed up his strike one curveball with another one, but watch it. It stays up. That one, that's the mistake, and that's the one that A-Rod can crush. I think that's why he went after that first one, and I don't know if he was trying to set him up or not. But he came right back with the same pitch, and it wasn't in the same location. And this is where you get hurt. Here it is on our decent pitch tracker, and it's right there.
It's in a happy zone.
Yeah, it is. So it's a solo home run. That's a third that Tomlin has given up in his 2 starts, but nobody on base, not a rally. They hit one. There you go. Let's start all over again. Re-rack them.
Well, you know, the first 3 outs of the game were all in the air. Since then, ground balls and strikeouts.
And Josh is usually a fly ball pitcher, too.
Big time.
You know, he's not what you consider a sinker ball or ground ball pitcher. He has to keep you off stride. He wants to pitch to contact. So they will hit a lot of balls in the air.
Diving attempt by Santana. It's by him, but Kipnis is there and feeds Tomlin with a perfect throw. Fans can enjoy $2 Miller Lite cans pregame Friday, August 28th as the Indians play the Angels. $2 Miller Lights are available 5 to 7 p.m. in the right field district. Plus, dollar dogs are available all night long. Log on to Indians.com for tickets. In there for a strike to Carlos Beltran, who went down swinging his first time up. You know, to your point, Rick, since 1987, among right-handed pitchers, Josh Tomlin has one of the lowest ground ball percentages.
Yeah.
Number 1, believe it or not, Rafael Betancourt.
Well, a lot of fastballs.
I wouldn't have thought him at being a relief pitcher. Number 2, Chad Ojay. Number 3, Eric Plunk. Number 4,
really?
Paul. This is among Indians, mind you.
Oh, I was going to say, boy, that's awful Indian heavy.
But, you know, Betancourt, Plunky, both relievers. And this is among guys who had 400 innings logged. So this isn't just one season worth. Paul Bird, we remember, he was Mr. Fly Ball.
Right, but he pitched to the big part of the ballpark. He was a good curveball, change speeds, throw a lot of strikes. A lot like Josh here.
And then Josh Tomlin's right after Paul Bird, 38% ground ball percentage.
Yeah, you see, you can't change your pattern. I mean, when you're going to be a fly ball guy, I mean, you know, you're going to pitch in ballparks where you're going to have short. There's Andre again. Yes. He stood up like he was going to catch it. He was running from it. We caught you, Andre. Look at him. Oh, get out of here. I'm going to have that policeman arrest you.
Now the 2-2.
I think Andre likes his perch a little better here for this weekend than he did in Boston. He's got some room.
wasn't enough room at Fenway to change your mind.
No kidding. He's sitting over there perched like an owl.
The payoff pitch.
Oh,
that was so far inside.
That. I mean, seriously. I mean, he comes inside. He's so far out in front. Rarely, I mean, will you ever see a guy pull a ball that far? You got to almost look behind you.
Then he went away, popped it, but it's out of play again. So Beltran's just spoiling pitch after pitch.
That was a tough pitch to spoil. It was a changeup after coming way inside with the heater. I get the call. I understand it, but he was able to get a piece of it. Beltre's been swinging the bat very well too. Had a good series up in Toronto.
Sends one sky high right side near the seats.
That should stay in.
Playable for Santana. 2 down. Time now to take a look at our injury report, brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk. Mark Teixeira currently listed as day-to-day with a bone bruise in his lower left leg. Ow. Has not played since Monday. And I think it's a situation where they're probably waiting to see, is it, do we need to DL him? Can we maybe get him a couple more days and he'll be ready to go?
The way the kid's swinging the bat at first base, Bird, yes, you can wait. This guy right here has an opportunity, and he's starting to pick it up. He played in Cleveland, didn't get his first hit until he went to Toronto. Then he gets his first RBI. Got a couple of home runs, and he's starting to swing it better.
After the home run, Tomlin retires him 1-2-3, but Alex Rodriguez with the solo shot makes it 3-1 after 4. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. It's a 3-1 Indians lead. We're in the top of the 5th now in the Bronx. Francisco Lindor, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana due up for the Tribe. Lindor pulls it foul. Called a strike. Lindor again bounces it foul up the right side. Two-strike pitch. That really took off on him. Pulls that foul by Sandy Alomar. Lindor struck out on the first, grounded out to first base in the third.
Now, the Indians have really been able to work their way back into counts when Nova's been ahead of them.
Lindor pops one, shallow right center. A long run, and it's Ellsbury who makes the catch. I have to assume he called off Drew, but man, did that make it a really tough play for the center fielder.
No doubt. I mean, you look at Drew's going out, and he veered off because he had to hear Ellsbury call for it, or he would have been taken. It looked like it would have been an easier play for him, but you know what I always say, if you're an outfielder, you can get there and you can take care of it. Go for it. He certainly did. He had a long way to go, but he made the play.
Arcia in the driver's seat. Michael Brantley coming into tonight since the All-Star break, batting .390. And I thought Lindor was hot at .340. Good breaking ball. First pitch, drops it in there for a strike. Shoots it down the right field line. If it's fair, it's trouble. It is a foul ball.
I just looked right at Michael Brantley, put his head down, and it's almost like he knew it as soon as it left the bat. You always can tell the reaction of the hitter, what it's going to do. He went inside, and boy, he missed. He didn't get it in. Watch Michael put his head down now. That ain't going. He just wanted to take that second look to see how far foul.
That's a sucker pitch, and you see so many guys chase after that because they're geared up. Now they hit one, they almost hit one out, and they're looking to really hammer one this time. Take advantage of their aggressiveness, but Michael, no, not me.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It's an 0-2 count. Why not throw one down there and see what they'll do? You know what? I think you'll get more guys to swing at it. So that, you know, sometimes you call it the back foot slider if you bounce it in front of the plate. I mean, you know, on the plate, at the plate, instead of inside more. Because he looks like his goes down. And earlier we saw him throw a splitter, but he hasn't thrown a couple. I don't know if he doesn't have a feel for it or what.
And the problem, what you just described is, yes, logical sense.
There.
That was a good pitch.
The middle of the plate. That way, that's where the hitters see it. And then they chase it is when it's in the middle of the plate, but it has to be down.
The problem for some pitchers, and we've talked to enough of them to know, it's that when they have to bounce it, sometimes it's difficult to do it.
That's right.
And so they get nervous about, oh boy.
But you see what can happen. This is one of the best hitters going right now. And he started him off with a strike right there. And then he finished him off with a strike right there. So that was a good at bat for Nova to go at Michael Brantley.
Santana looks, it's low, ball one. Carlos walked and scored in the second inning. Went down swinging to end the third. I wonder if we actually could count how many times during the course of a game a catcher puts his glove in the dirt.
You mean where he wants the pitch?
Nice catch in right field by Beltran. They'll set up a lot of those catches. They'll tap the dirt. Keep it down. Keep it down. 1, 2, 3 go the Indians for the first time tonight.
Under with the purchase of an adult ticket. Kids tickets located in a new family deck at Progressive Field, home to the expanded kids clubhouse. Go to Indians.com for the tickets.
Josh Tomlin goes at Chase Headley to start the bottom of the fifth. Headley doubled to right center in the third off Tomlin. That was the first hit of the night for New York. Trying to go to left field. Jose Ramirez makes the catch. One away. That'll bring up Didi Gregorius. Yankee shortstop struck out his only time up in the third. In there for a strike. Missed in. Adam Warren getting loose for New York. Did he go on the appeal? Yes, he did, says Tom Woodring down to third.
You know, you watch him jump out there, and he looked like he did. Let's check it out from the side. Oh, yes, no question about it. Good call. Josh with 3 strikeouts tonight so far and 1 walk.
Oh, what a pitch. just painted the outside corner with a little cutter. And that's his 4th strikeout of the night. 2 down.
This has been his pitch to left-handers today, that little cutter on the outside corner. He starts it off the plate. It has some late movement coming back. They give up on it, and it certainly is a strike.
Missed outside. Just a bit outside. Stephen Drew walked his first time up. This is one of those games, though, where it feels like the Indians have dominated, and yet it's only a 2-run ball game.
Well, yeah, that's true. The Yankees have 2 hits. One of them left the ballpark. The other's a double, and that's it. Tomlin, his second walk, both of them have come to Drew.
And up comes Jacoby Ellsbury for the 3rd time tonight. He's 0 for 2.
You know, this is where you have to really keep a close eye on Josh that 3rd time through a lineup now, you know, because it can happen quickly. Although he does have the 2 outs. You'd like to see him get that 3rd out in a hurry here and not keep it rolling. He's at 77 pitches.
Indians bullpen is quiet. On a play to the left. Ellsbury was on the DL from May the 20th until just before the All-Star break with a right knee sprain. He missed 43 games.
Well, that's the reason why his stolen bases are down, the doubles are down. That's his game. You know, when those guys, you use your legs to make a living, and then the older you get, you see they start slowing down. It's tough to sign guys to big long-term deals like they did to Ellsbury when speed is your game.
I doubt we'll see another Ricky Henderson in our lifetime. I mean, that's a once-in-a-generation player.
Yeah, there's no question.
Stays that physically fit, it can steal bases
it
year
takes
after
the
year
beating
after
and
year.
the pounding. Yeah, no question about it.
One pitch. Threw it by him. I was just thinking about Tim Rock Raines, who played here toward the end of his career.
He was a great one. Yes, that's another one. You're right. That's in the category of a Ricky Henderson. Steal a lot of bases, switch hitters. He was a very good ball player. Coming up with Montreal.
Tomlin does as good a job with a running game as any pitcher.
Well, he went, what, 3 years there where nobody even attempted? No one even attempted a steal, right?
Bounce to first, routine play for Santana, and Tomlin puts another 0 on the board. 5 complete from the Bronx. The Indians lead the New York Yankees 3-1. nightcap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Lonnie Chisenhall with a double to drive in Carlos Santana, giving the Indians a 1-0 lead. In the second, it was a 2-out RBI knock by Michael Brantley. And then in the fourth, another 2-out RBI hit. This coming off the bat of Jose Ramirez. And it's 3-1 as we head now to inning number 6. Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen is for Adam Warren as he comes on for Ivan Nova. Warren is making his 32nd appearance on the year, 6-5 of the .325 ERA. He's made 14 starts.
Right, a guy that's can go either way. They had him starting, and his 17th, make this his 18th coming out of the bullpen.
Well, we talked about this when the Yankees were in Cleveland. They've got so many good arms that some of these guys have been in a situation where it's like, well, you can go to the bullpen or you can go to the minor leagues.
No, we saw some good arms coming out of their pen in Cleveland. And it was funny that that 16-inning game, it was almost like a pitcher an inning. They used 8 that day.
Lonnie Chisenhall takes, it's a called strike. Lonnie with the RBI double and a pop-up. Elevated it and strikes him out with a good fastball.
Quick work there. That one, yeah, elevated above the belt, and he was tardy on it. Good fastball by Warren.
Combs is swinging a miss.
Well, he's coming right out of the bullpen and doing what you have to do.
Is he ever?
4 pitches, and he has all fastballs. 4 strikes. Make it 5. That's what it is. Well located fastballs are a thing that you want to do as a starting pitcher. If you can locate it, move it in and out, it's like 2 different pitches because it takes the hitter off and you can elevate it. You can go north and south, you can go east and west with it.
In the dirt, 2-2. After Gomes, it's Abraham Almonte here in the 6th. Pulls it foul.
Yeah, Nova ended up going his 5 innings tonight. He only had the 1-2-3 inning, which was his last inning. Well, the first inning he only faced 3. Kipnis led off the game with a single. Ended up getting the ground ball double play to get out of that one and only facing 3 guys.
He only walked 2, but both came around to score.
Yeah. Yes.
One was a leadoff walk, and as you pointed out, the other was a 2-out walk. Both costly. 2-2. And now a full count for Gomes.
Well, got to look heater here because every fastball he's thrown has been a strike, and every breaking ball was a ball.
Everything's been low and away, huh?
Down and away, down and away. All the breaking balls have been out of the zone. They've been chase pitches.
Gomes shoots one deep right. Beltran back and makes the catch. Moving to his left for out number 2.
Well, season tickets offer the best perks, including savings and access to Tribe Rewards. And today's Tribe Rewards TV code is Hargrove. You can visit Indians.com season tickets for complete details.
Now, during Mike Hargrove's time as manager of the Cleveland Indians, he had one of the best right-handed hitters we've ever seen to manage, and that was Manny Ramirez, who grew up minutes away from Yankee Stadium, Washington Heights.
Right.
And I often wonder, we're going to talk a lot about Gene Michael over the weekend because they're going to retire 2 guys' numbers this weekend here in New York that were signed, drafted, whatever, under his watch as general manager here in New York. But in 1991, the Yankees had the #1 pick in the draft. And instead of Manny Ramirez, who, as I said, was right down the street, they took Brian Taylor, who was a highly touted pitcher out of North Carolina, but
remember that
never materialized. He got in a fight or something, broke his hand, something happened early in his career, and never.
Right.
In fact, I think he might end up with the Indians at one point later on down the road.
With probably a couple of other clubs.
But yeah, I wonder why Manny Ramirez wasn't higher on their board. Because he was a young kid and he didn't.
Maybe they were looking for pitching in that draft as opposed to hitters. I don't know. Stick will probably be in town this weekend. Maybe we could ask him.
Two down, Abraham Almonte trying to extend the innings. Got a good count, 2-1, swing and a miss. Got a piece of it, fouled it off.
Well, he went after the changeup right there. He's a dead red hitter. He loves the fastball, but he chased the changeup. So now it's a 2-2 count. That's a good call right there with this hitter up.
And the 2-2 shoots it foul. Let's take a look back at Manny Ramirez early in his career.
You got him here, huh?
1993.
Oh, he used to come into town and just wear the Yankees
Look
out.
at the
Remember how?
Manny fans.
Yeah, I remember the sections he used to have here. That's old Yankee Stadium. Beautiful.
1993, a young Manny Ramirez just starting his career.
Boy, could he hit. He was fun to watch. A little skinnier then, huh? Sort of like us back in the day.
3-2 pitch. Almonte fouls it away. He's having a heck of an at-bat here. You know, Adam Warren came on and carved up Lonnie Chisenhall. And then Gomes, a lengthy at-bat, fouling some pitches off, working a count. Now Almonte in a similar situation. And before you know it, this will be the 18th pitch of the inning now for Warren. Top to first. Bird tags the bag. That's 7 in a row set down by Yankee pitching. But the Indians still lead it 3-1.
Rewind on Josh Tomlin. He has done everything he has had to do tonight. He's had a nice cutter to the left-handers coming on the inside part of the plate. He's changed speeds. He's moved it around. He really has only made 2 little mistakes. One was the double to lead off the 3rd inning, and the other one an A-Rod home run that caught the plate. Other than that, Josh has been just fine. He's going into the 6th inning, allowing just 2 hits and 1 run.
Pitch up high, ball 1 to Brett Gardner.
But this is where you have to keep a close eye on him now. He's at the 82 pitch mark. And you're going through that big part of the lineup now for the 3rd time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see people up and getting loose. Just to, because like I said, it happens quickly.
And they are just now getting somebody up in the Cleveland.
I remember when we had Paul Bird here. Paul was the same way. He'd throw strikes, he'd be brilliant. But you gotta really keep an eye on him when you get into the middle part of the game.
Down in the right field corner, but foul. Hit in the air, deep right center. Back is Chisenhall on the track, and it's going to be Almonte. Oh, what a catch by the Tribe center fielder.
Oh, he got it. I did not think he got it.
Yes, he did. He got back there just as he and Chisenhall were converging. Abraham was a little deeper. He was on the fence, and he was able to get up and make the grab.
Wow, that was about at the 385-foot mark. I couldn't tell if he caught it. He's going back. He timed it beautifully. He takes a peek. He sees where he has to go. He jumps up. Would it have been out of here? No, it would have been in the park, but he makes a beautiful running catch. Takes extra bases away from Gardner. Great play. Well done.
Now Alex Rodriguez, who homered his last time up, and Tomlin misses a little bit high, ball 1.
Well, you see the ground you have to cover in this outfield. Good pitch there.
That's a good 35-yard sprint for
Almonte. Well, and that ball's jumping a little bit when you're chasing after it. And all of a sudden you have to jump at the end.
2 balls, 1 strike. He's done a nice job. In gap to gap, he's made some very good catches. Good pitch. Did you see that run on that ball from Tomlin?
And stay hard stuff with Rodriguez. He's got the slider speed bat now, and with his age, you slow it down for him. I think you help him out. You see, make him use those hands to get it through the hitting area. The only way you throw him a curveball is if you bounce it. Tied him up. Good pitch.
Stay in there, right?
And then Gomes, I mean, you got to realize that. You know, the home run he hit, it was certainly a breaking ball that was middle of the plate. So you either tie him up with fastballs, and if you really want to get him off, then you can go ahead and bounce one.
Now the 2-2. Breaking ball, ring him up. Oh, baby, number 5 for Josh Tomlin.
Nice sequence. Very nice sequence done by those two. Tomlin comes inside with it. He doesn't give him swinging room. Stayed on the inside part of the plate, and he's going to say that was inside and came back over, but it locked him up is what it did. Nice. There you go, right on the inside part of the plate. You see every pitch there was inside. He wasn't going to let him extend.
Ran it in on him, popped him up. Here comes Gomes. He'll make the grab. Oh, what a great inning by Josh Tomlin. He goes through the meat of the order there. Gardner, Rodriguez, McCann, 1, 2, 3. Good defense, good pitching. Tribe on top, 3-1. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. Josh Tomlin has fired a gem. 6 innings. He's given up 2 hits. And the Indians cling to a 3-1 lead. Giovanni Urshela to lead things off here in the 7th. Adam Warren worked a 1-2-3-6. Stays on the pitch for New York, and that's out of plate on the right side.
You know, you get into games like this, it'd be a great time to add on now. You know, to take a little momentum away or steam from this home crowd. Still have a 2-run lead, but you know, you get one guy on and the tying run comes to the plate.
For you, growing up in Niagara Falls and, you know, being from the state of New York, there had to be something special to come and play at Yankee Stadium. What about for your teammates who maybe had no tie to New York? Did you notice them sort of antennas going up when you came to the Yankee Stadium?
I think everybody that comes to Yankee Stadium, you know, it's just the tradition here.
Shell it down on strikes.
I think everybody as a young kid, whether you grew up in the state of New York or not, realized how good the Yankees are, you know, and it's always the Yankees. The Yankees, it used to be they were on the TV all the time when there wasn't games on TV every day where you could see every game.
Well, and
from every team.
During your career, you came up in '75, you know, the Big Red Machine was kind of making their mark, but the Yankees were in the World Series in '76. Then they won it, what, in '77, '78?
Right. Yeah, it's the Yankees have always been the dynasty of the American League. You look at the Cardinals as the class of the National League, you know, and I mean, I think anybody that would get to go in the National League and play in St. Louis for the first time, it would have the same approach as you come here. You know, it's just the place to be, and it's where the lights shine brightest. And the fans here, when you come in as an opposing club and you play well, they respect you. You know, they may boo their Yankees and tell them they're bums, but I'll tell you what, they say, well, this guy had a great game. They tell you a nice game. But it's a lot of fun to play here.
2 quick outs here in the 7th. Let's go down to Andre. Kind of weird that, I mean, it's August, first trip to Yankee Stadium, and they just came to Cleveland for the first time.
Yeah, it's August 20th. I'm talking to Terry Francona, who used to manage in Boston, obviously. I talked to him about that, and he goes, yeah, they call it an unbalanced schedule. He goes, they ain't lying. He goes, for him, but seriously, he goes, I felt like I was in this stadium and in Fenway, 40 times a night with these two teams playing. He goes, it's so odd for him to be August and finally seeing the Yankees and be in the stadium. And I asked him about players coming here for the first time, and he goes, I told Frankie, I told Gio, and anyone else, enjoy being here. Don't worry about where you're at. Enjoy it.
Yeah, well, nobody would know better than Tito, because when you talk about intense rivalries, you get the Boston, the Red Sox, and the Yankees. I don't think there's any better in all of baseball. It has to be the best rivalry, and always has been. There's some good ones out there, but I think that's the tops. And, those guys play. It was 4-hour games, for goodness sakes.
I mean, the Dodgers-Giants has been a good rivalry, but it's not at the level of the Yankees-Red Sox, I don't think.
Well, I think most people would say that, but it's a good one. It's intense, but.
And I think part of the reason is that it was always explained to me. People in Southern California look at San Francisco and go, yeah, whatever. They're just kind of that. Whereas Boston, New Yorkers, they'll fight over the flip of a coin.
Well, these guys will be here a couple hours before the game. You get to L.A., they'll show up in about the 2nd inning and leave in the 7th. They don't care. They'll be sold out. They'll cheer for you. They'll be on their cell phones and they'll fax from their seats. But it's different when you get into New York and to the East Coast. It's a little more intense, which is the great part of it.
There's a liner to left field and a base hit for Kipnis.
Well, he's got it back. Another 3-hit game for Kip.
And it would have been a 4th if it hadn't been for the nice play by Bird, who stole a line drive off his bat in the 4th inning.
Yeah, that's good. He's back. It didn't take him long.
Yellowwood bringing the lumber. He's been bringing it, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. And it's nice. I mean, he came back for the first time in Boston, had a pinch hit appearance, and then had a tough night last night. Swung at some bad pitches, fouled one off his foot, but right back here tonight with 3 singles. So that's a good sign for the Indians and for Jason Kipnis. There it is, 16 3-hit games for the kid. He's done that all year long. When he gets one and he gets it early, he just adds on. Brantley's the same way. He gets the multiple hit games as well.
Francisco Lindor 0 for 3.
Well, keep it rolling because this is where they've had success tonight with 2 outs.
One and one. I don't know how Warren is in terms of his delivery to home plate. This would be a spot maybe if Kipnis could get a good jump. It'd be a good time to steal to get into scoring position for Lindor.
Let me check it out for you.
The thing I like about Kipnis, he's got 11 steals. He's been caught 7 times, so it tells you he's not afraid to take a shot, see if he can get in the scoring position.
No, and now would be a time, but you also can save him the hole for one more. When he gets to 2 strikes, you could, and you think you can run on a breaking ball count. Will he see one? Maybe.
There he goes.
Lindor
takes, and the throw is not in time. Oh, he is! He pulled him out! Somehow Gregorius must have reached for the ball and swiped the tag on Kipnis' foot before he got to the bag.
Let's see if he got him on the leg, because sometimes it's hard to tell. Gregorius was running in front of him and tags the leg. Let's see before Kipnis gets to the base. If he did, that's a tremendous. There it is.
Yep. Give him all the credit in the world.
Shortstop's made some great plays in the series he's played against the Indians. There it was. That's why you come get the baseball. He did get it. Great call.
Terrific play by Gregorius. Time now for the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Stick around for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio.
What's Bob doing to you up here?
He's sidling up to me like the Seidler from Seinfeld. Like, what are you doing? Mike Aviles comes into the ball game in left field now to take over for Jose Ramirez. Josh Tomlin back out here.
We just have to thank him for showing up today, Matt. That's all.
You know, Tomlin has been as good as he's been in a long time tonight.
Well, you can see the distribution: 5 strikeouts, 5 ground ball outs, 8 flyouts. The thing I like about it, he's mixed his pitches well. He's given up 2 hits. Both hits were for extra bases. Okay, he's on the plate, but for the most part, he has been dynamite. Tito has that bullpen ready. He knows. He went 6 1/3 in his first start. This is something that Josh has always done since he's a battler. He's not blessed with the best stuff in the world, but he's not going to back down from any match that he gets.
Hit deep but foul.
Yep. Just happened to be inside off the plate. What do you do with it? You hit it foul. Last time he did that, the next pitch he came back with a changeup away. See that one in? It was just in. It was on the plate, but he was too quick on it.
Check the swing and a little foul back.
Some wind coming up now.
Right field.
Oh,
sinking.
my goodness.
Oh, what a catch. Lonnie Chisenhall came flying in, got a great beat on it, and made the grab for out number 1.
I thought that was going to be just placed. It was going to float in there between all those players. Chisenhall comes in to get it. It looked like it was going to be perfectly placed, but no sirree. They come in. They played a couple good plays made by the outfielders tonight. Tomlin loves it. Attaboy, attaboy. Catch it. Let's go.
Well, he had Indians outfielders last 2 innings. A couple of terrific plays. Back out of play. The 1-2, and it swung out and missed. He went up the ladder and struck out Bird for the 2nd time tonight. Half dozen Ks for Tomlin. 2 down.
This is going to be our Circle K strikeout of the night. Another elevated fastball. Well done. He didn't stop there. The cutter's been the made to order for the left-handers tonight, but he's elevated some pitches. A couple of nice curveballs. Josh Tomlin has been dealing tonight.
Chase Headley 1 for 2. He doubled in the 3rd. That was New York's first hit of the game. One of only 2 in the game allowed by Tomlin. The other was a solo homer to Alex Rodriguez in the 4th. Bouncer to Kipnis. And another great inning for Josh Tomlin. He has set down 7 Yankees hitters in a row. Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Well, Josh Tomlin gets a hug from his catcher.
Rightfully so. Nice little one from his pitching coach as well. It was a nice outing.
He only went 7 last year against the Yankees. His longest start since.
You know, he was 2-2 against the Yankees in his career. But in this ballpark, he was 0-2 with an ERA of 11. But I'll tell you what, the ghost got out of the closet, and there it was. That was a good, strong outing. They got him a couple of runs early. So he'll pitch 7 2-hit innings, allowing the 1 run.
New pitcher for New York, left-hander Chris Capuano. After Adam Warren went 2 scoreless.
Capuano, a guy that's not overpowering. He's going to move it around. He's going to change speeds on you. You have to remain patient.
Off the end of the bat towards first. And Bird will apply the tag, 1 away. At the knees. 0-2 the count.
I think they, after that 16-inning game in Cleveland, they ended up calling this guy up. I think it was the next day. We didn't see him in the series.
Well, remember they had some guys coming out of the bullpen in that series that ball's ripped right field. That'll go all the way to the wall.
How about this guy? Brantley comes up, takes a breaking ball, strike 1, fastball, strike 2. And now let me try and throw a changeup to you. And he gets an 0-2 base hit, double to left or to right field. He just got a pretty good look at where he was, and then he sees something down and in, and he just golfs it. He's got 2 hits tonight. Gets himself in scoring position at a great time to go ahead and add on. Another double for Brantley. League leader in that department, 38. Only the 2nd extra base hit for the Indians tonight out of their 8 hits.
I think when we were in Cleveland, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Chasen Shreve.
Right.
And I said,
yes.
It's like, this guy looks like a starter.
Yes.
I mean, because he had 3 pitches.
It was him. You're right.
So they've got some guys in that bullpen that are young pitchers that are. Brian Shaw getting loose. Justin Wilson, he's a left-hander out of that bullpen who was a starter early in his career in the minors.
He threw in the mid-90s, yes.
Oh, Brian Mitchell. He was the guy. Remember he went 3 innings and I said, that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I said, this guy doesn't look like a reliever. He's the guy that must have got sent back out. Maybe they made room for Capuano.
Yes, I think so.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the one that took the line drive. Forgot about that.
That's right.
That's
he
what
got
happened
to start.
to Mitchell. That's right. Oh, that was awful. That was against Minnesota just the other day.
Yep.
Monday night. Now the 2-1. Santana kind of caught in between.
I was going to say, this is a guy that'll do it to you. If you're getting out and trying to pull a ball, you'll be caught in between. You have to have a mindset where you're just going to be patient and look for a pitch to hit. Whether it's, and I would think a good one would be off speed, because I don't think he's going to throw him a fastball for a strike. Sands is coming into the on deck circle.
Santana patient, lays off, full count. And it's in the dirt again. So Santana takes his second walk of the night. We're back in the Bronx tomorrow night, game 2. And our coverage begins at 6:30 with Indians Live. First pitch from Yankee Stadium at 7 o'clock right here on Sports Time Ohio.
Did Bob do that? I'm sure he did. What about Bob?
What about Bob?
What a movie that was.
Bob, get some new crayons. Well, Jerry Sands going to pinch hit for Lonnie Chisenhall. Lonnie was 1 for 3 with an RBI double.
Yeah, there's nobody else up in the Yankee bullpen, so this is it. Take advantage.
Strike called.
Boy, a base hit here would go a long way.
And Jerry trying to drop one in. It's caught by Ellsbury. Tagging and going to third is Brantley, but now there are 2 down. Boy, it looked off the bat, Rick, like Sands had delivered that hit.
Yes, I thought it was. Off the bat, I said that's a base hit. Way to go. But Ellsbury caught up to it. It stayed in the air long enough. Sometimes that's deceiving, but he gets over on a nice sliding catch. Brantley will go from second to third now with 2 outs. Let's check the jump on that ball. I thought, there it is. He got a pretty good jump. Recognized over there, going to his right.
Well, hey, the 2-out hit has been part of their game plan tonight. 2 of their 3 runs have come with 2-out RBI singles. So we'll see if Yan Gomes can deliver here. Inside ball 1.
That's just a setup pitch for all of his slow stuff he wants to throw. Here's my fastball. Take a look at it. But I like the take there from Gomes, not trying to get out and do much with it. Okay, you give him that pitch. That time he threw it for a strike. More times than not, this is not a guy that's going to throw you many fastballs into that bat, at least a swing at.
Well, the way they're lined up defensively, he's not going to, it doesn't look like he's going to give anything away to drive.
Well, that's where Gomes likes it. He likes the ball out over where he can shoot it that way. but you're going to have to wait back.
Slow.
Yeah, he's not going to throw him a fastball away.
No. Yan down on the count here. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 on, 2 out in the 8th. Indians leading it 3-1. Joe Girardi. Nobody up in his bullpen. It's Capuano against Gomes right here. 1-2 pitch. Throw to first instead, but Santana only a couple of steps off the bag. Struck him out. Indians strand a pair. Will go to the last half of the 8th. Cleveland leading it 3-1. Cleveland, bottom of the 8th here at Yankee Stadium. And as we promised you earlier, it's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Good defense. Abraham Almonte going to the wall for that play in the 8th, in the 6th rather. Fine play. And then in the 7th, Lonnie Chisenhall came flying in from right field. Made a nice diving catch. So, hey, when you're in low scoring, close games, you've got to make all the plays.
Defense, pitching, and defense comes into play. Absolutely right. It has to this point. Now it's up to Brian Shaw. 6 outs to go. And we'll see if they can piece it together with Brian Shaw. First man into the fire after Josh Tomlin went 7 innings, allowing a run on 2 hits. Jerry Sands stays in the game after he pinch hit for Lonnie Chisenhall. He's in right. And, of course, Mike Aviles came on last inning defensively in left field. Didi Gregorius struck out twice tonight against Josh Tomlin and gets a fastball strike from Brian Shaw.
Straighten him up. Ball one. Evens the count. Gregorius just 1 for his last 12 at the plate. Overall, going back further than that, 3 for his last 25. Inside corner.
Well, I like what I see. Everything down so far for Shaw. Very good. That was a little cutter coming down and in.
Everything's had some kind of movement on it.
Half the time it's hard to tell. When he throws his fastball, it has run to it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot like his cutter, and he does have a slider as well.
That looked like a four-seam fastball. I think sometimes these guys get so used to throwing the cutter that it gets hard to throw just a traditional four-seamer.
Well, you want to throw a strike here. You certainly don't want to walk anybody, especially the leadoff man.
Jammed him. Oh, what a pitch. That had some cutting action to it. It ran right in on his thumbs. Watch where it starts out and where it ends up.
Yeah, that one comes all the way across the plate. Got deep into the kitchen right there for out number 1.
Stephen Drew has walked twice. It seem like, not every game, but every once in a while you'll just see it, and for whatever reason there's one guy he can't throw a strike to him.
Yeah. Well, and today was the 9th place hitter.
This time he swings at the first pitch and lines it off the chest or shoulder of Jason Kipnis. They give him a base hit.
Well, that ball was hit pretty well. Yeah, I mean, he goes down and digs it out, and that top right there, it jumped up and it came off his arm and his
sure did
rib. So that ball is smoked. Well, there's the base hit by Drew. He's been on all 3 times tonight. That's a tough play. Those are the ones you used to run from. I did when I was on the infield.
That's one of those ones you wish we could have a camera mounted on Kipnis to get an appreciation.
He doesn't want it. That's the ball that made me an outfielder.
The goalie cam.
Yeah, right. You don't realize how hard it's coming at you. And that's an in-between hop, too.
Ellsbury goes after the first pitch. So aggressive approach against Shaw for the Yankees here.
That hit, by the way, is only the Yankees' 3rd hit of the ball game. That 1-out single, their first single.
And he threw it by him.
He did. You're right. Right by him. Stay with it.
Ellsbury barking at home plate umpire Dan Isanya, but that was a perfect pitch. Fastball away.
Did that have a little comeback to it on the outside corner? That's what I want to see. Take a look at it. Oh, he's got a legitimate beat there.
That is great framing. Watch, you can't tell from the side angle, but from that center field, watch how he just a bit.
Yeah, he did bring it in. I'll tell you what, that ball, he's right. It was outside, but he got the call. You're right. That is sometimes when you're sitting out there, soft hands go with the glove. He gets the second out.
I know he hasn't been a catcher his whole life, and he missed a lot of time, obviously, earlier this year, but Gomes has quickly become one of the better framing catchers in baseball.
Well, I like the way this is playing out. If he could get Gardner here, then you don't have these guys leading off the 9th inning. the table setters.
Perfect pitch.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Shaw is painting the outside right now.
These are the guys you like to face in the 8th and not let them start an inning off.
Shaw ready with the 0-2 pitch. That's way outside. He's a tough guy to get the chase if you're away and then you go farther away. You might get him to chase if you show him in and then go a little bit off the plate. But
yeah, those are wasted pitches there because he doesn't have a chance to swing at him. You know what I mean? He went from 0-2 and now you let him back into the count. At least you have to start a pitch out maybe in the zone where it goes out of the zone, but you can't start it outside and it has no chance to come back in. That's not a good pitch. Those two. That led him right back into the count.
Well, now the string is out and the runner at first, Drew, will be off. And Brian Shaw is all too familiar with the guy on deck, I'm sure. He does not want to face him. So chances are he's going to go at Gardner here. The pitch. Swung out and missed. He got him with some high heat. Back-to-back Ks ends the 8th inning. Brian Shaw keeps the Indians up by 2 as we go to the 9th. Ninth inning, Abraham Almonte will lead it off for Cleveland. A lot of fair weather fans these days in the Bronx. 36,129 were here at the outset, and a lot of them were flocking to the exits at the end of the 8th. Almonte walked and scored in the 4th. He's 0 for 2 officially on the night. Chris Capuano worked the scoreless 8th.
Although he had to weave his way through it.
Yeah.
With a double and a walk.
Good defensive play bailed him out in center. Breaking ball hit on one, bounce to Gregorius. One away. Giovanni Urshela, 1 for 3 on the night, will be the batter. Boston leads Kansas City 4-1 in the ninth at Fenway.
Sox remain hot.
Yeah. Detroit shutting out Texas 4-0. They're in the ninth at Comerica. Is that Alfredo Simon?
Yeah, it sure is. We got the start today. That's Wade Miley in Boston going against Danny Duffy.
There's the 0-2 pitch. They must have had some rain in Baltimore. They're only in the second inning.
They did. Earlier, I saw a rain delay up on the scoreboard. Let it stay south.
Twins and Orioles scoreless second inning there.
The boys tell me we have a chance tomorrow night. Well, that's what they say.
Cody Allen getting ready in the Tribe pin. That's roped to third. A nice catch by Headley going into foul territory.
You know, that ball had to be hit off the end of the bat for him to catch up to that. If that was hit hard, it would have been by him. But he was able to stay with it. And give him credit. Look at 1, 2 steps, and he's able to catch it and take a double away. So that had to be off the end of the bat a little bit.
Oh, it looked like it was right off the end.
Yeah. See, it was a little humpback liner. Had some air underneath it. He catches it, but he takes a double away.
Jose Ramirez, or rather Mike Aviles, getting his first at bat after Jose Ramirez started tonight, went 1 for 3. Had a key 2-out RBI single in the fourth. Upstairs, 1-1. Bounced it in there. It's a little bit outside, 3-1. To right field. Beltran back, makes the catch. That ball carried. But the Indians go 1-2-3. And now it's up to Cody Allen. Bottom of the ninth coming up next. Well, they've kept the table setters off the bags.
Yes, they did.
Both Tomlin and Brian Shaw. And keep the ball in the yard. Only one run allowed, and that came on a solo homer by Alex
Solo homer, though.
Rodriguez.
Nobody on in front of that home run. So Josh Tomlin did a beautiful job keeping those guys off base. Now he's turning it over to the bullpen. It's up to Cody Allen to see if he can come on and get the save. And 51st appearance, 23 out of 26 save opportunities. He's going to go right through the heart. A-Rod, McCann, Beltran.
There you get a look at the numbers those guys have against Cody Allen. Back in the fourth inning, Alex Rodriguez, the only run of the night for New York, came on a breaking ball. He hit it a long way. 26th home run of the year. 2 days ago, Alex Rodriguez hit the 25th grand slam of his career. Wow.
That's a boatload, isn't it?
Yeah.
25, seriously?
I remember, I was thinking, didn't Manny Ramirez hit like 13? And that was...
he had like 19 or 20 or 21, something like that.
But I mean, at one point I thought he got to 13, and that was like more than anybody had hit in a long time.
Eddie Murray also up there. Robin Ventura.
Line drive, center field. Almonte can't get there. Playing that no doubles defense.
Indeed. Exactly right.
And now the tying run comes to the plate.
They were playing so deep out there that he had no chance because that ball got in on him, and you could just tell. Yeah, that's that defense. You don't want them to get doubles, but you know what? You give them singles, and that's jab. They've got the tying run coming to the plate now.
Brian McCann is the batter. He is 0 for 3. Fouled right back. Rodriguez takes his lead at first. He takes off, and the pitch is called a strike, but no throw from Yan Gomes.
I wasn't sure that he thought Lindor was going to be there. I think he was there, and they had the right opportunity to go through. It was Rodriguez running. Will they hold them on? I didn't see. Yeah, he's sort of playing behind him. You see, he got in there a little late. Gomes chose not to throw the ball. They give him a stolen base. So that takes the double play out of order.
What is Girardi chirping about?
I have no idea.
He's screaming at home plate umpire, man, I saw you.
Maybe on the pitch.
Oh, was it called a strike? It's 0-2.
Yeah.
I guess. Not sure. Hit foul, first base side.
Let's take a look at the pitch before. He fouled it off, and this is why you're hearing him bark. He thought that pitch was up. You see, Gomes came up, sort of blocked him out, and he called the strike. So instead of a 1-1 count, it went to 0-2.
Definitely looked like it was.
Well, go back up there then. Don't. This guy's a good low ball hitter. He loves to pitch down, and he's a very good clutch hitter from the 7th inning on.
Cody Allen's 2-strike pitch. Got him looking.
There it is, the equalizer. I don't know if there's much to complain about that pitch. He might have a complaint on that other half fastball, but that was a good pitch.
Now Girardi wants to come out and get his money's worth.
He's gonna. Well,
see ya.
Yeah,
Good night.
You're not allowed to argue balls and strikes, so he's gonna come up.
Well, he's gonna put on a show now.
Well, this may also be trying to get that team fired up as well. And it's also putting a stall tactic on Cody out. You know, where you make them wait a little bit longer.
Well, his team had 3 hits before this 9th inning. So maybe he is trying to wake him up.
I think he is. This is, you know, there's the breaking ball. There's no doubt about that pitch.
Right.
I could see the other one, and he had his say. But he saw his catcher come out and say something, so why not? You're in the 9th inning. Let me get him fired up. Let me slow down Allen. The best at that ever was Earl Weaver.
He'd still be out there.
Oh, yeah.
Girardi is gone. Beltran takes a breaking ball strike. That's a hit into right field. And it's a 1-run game.
Well, he's been a hot hitter, and he beat the shift that they had 3 guys on the right side, and you just throw it into second base because that's the tying run. So they inch 1 run closer. With a pair of hits, that's a fastball right there. You see where Gomes had to reach back and try and snap it from the middle part of the plate. That's by Lindor. Rodriguez comes in to score. So now the tying run aboard, the winning run comes to the plate. And I'll tell you what, it did fire up this team and the fans.
Greg Bird 0 for 3 has struck out twice tonight. Chris Young, a pinch runner in for Beltran. That's the tying run. Bird checks, it's in the dirt, ball 1.
Now Cody had a good curveball. He struck out McCann on it, and then came and got Beltran ahead early with it and made the mistake with his fastball on the plate. 2-0 count.
Outside 3-0.
You know, this is the rookie here. He's got to be more aggressive because he did hit 2 homers yesterday, but that's yesterday. He's got to come in and throw in strikes.
Well, you got an aggressive hitter coming up next, Chase Headley.
Yeah, but you certainly don't want to push the tying run into scoring position on a free pass.
No.
Ooh, right at the knees.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Whoa, and he walked him. Mickey Callaway going out to talk. Meanwhile, the Indians going to scramble the bullpen.
Well, you got a meeting now. Callaway talking to to Allen on what he wants to do. He'd love to get a ground ball double play.
Chase Headley doubled in the third. That was the first hit of the game for New York. Flied to left in the fifth, grounded to second in the seventh. Isn't it amazing in this giant stadium, one of the biggest in terms of attendance in baseball, and somehow we got a couple Indians fans made their way right behind home plate. Guy wearing a Roger Dorn Major League jersey. And they are literally hanging on every pitch right now. Inside ball one to Headley.
Well, Allen having a tough time throwing strikes. Came out, he was fine. They played deep to start the inning off, and the A-Rod blooped one in. He got the strikeout, then a base hit, and a walk.
And now he can't find the plate. That run that came around to score is the 19th run that Cody Allen has allowed in the ninth inning this year.
That's a lot. That is definitely a lot.
Out of play, and it's 2-1. As I mentioned before, a lot of the crowd of the 36,000 went home early, but those who are still here are making plenty of noise. You can just feel the vice getting tighter. And the 2-1 bounces foul.
Well, now with 2 strikes, maybe he can expand his zone a little bit and get the ground ball he's looking for. Turn 2, get out of here.
Cody checks the runner at second. In the 2-2.
Well, that's a good job following up a good low fastball. That one might have been below the zone, but you can't take it. And that's what I mean when you say expand the zone. Get him to swing at your pitch. Headley doesn't get down the line very well, so you can get a ground ball at one of your fielders. They'll be able to turn it. He was grounded into 14 this year.
The 2-2.
There it is.
Hit on the ground to Santana. Bobbles it. Flips to first. They get it out there. Oh, baby.
You go from a double play to now they've got the winning run in scoring position from not getting the lead runner because he couldn't field the ball. It's a routine hop. That's a double play ball. It's right there. He bobbled it.
Instead of going into his glove to get the ball, he tried to flip it to the bare hand.
Yep. They do get the out at first base, but I'll tell you what, that's dangerous. Now you put the tying run now goes to third base, and the winning run is at second. That puts pressure on the outfielders, and that puts also pressure on Cody Allen. Brendan Ryan in at second running now. He's carrying the mail.
Didi Gregorius is 0 for 3 on the night. Down and in, ball one. Yankees are down to their backup catcher, John Ryan Murphy, and the injured Mark Teixeira on their bench. The 1-0 pitch. Swung out and missed. He
elevated heater. Elevated heater. He's not going to catch up to that one. Yeah, that's the one you may see a little bit better, but you're not going to get on top of it. You hope he swings at that pitch all the time. He's a guy that has to get that ball down in the zone.
Cody's 1-1 pitch to left. Aviles is there, and the Indians hang on to win it. They take the series opener by a final score of 3-2, hanging on by their fingernails. Cody Allen nails it down and picks up his 24th save of the year. Josh Tomlin gets the win, his first of the season, his first win as a starter since June 28th of a year ago when he threw that gem of a one-hitter against Seattle. He did have a win out of the bullpen last August against Kansas City, but all in all, this was a night to remember for Josh Tomlin. What a terrific game he pitched. Here's our Pat O'Brien Chevrolet play of the game.
Well, the toughest out to get is that number 27. 27th out, he gets Gregorius to just fly to left field. Boy, I'll tell you what, that was a tough one, only because they held the tying and winning run into scoring position when they had a double play to end it. But they get out of it, they win the ball game, and they win the third straight. I mean, they're on this